And we are live. What's up, world? It's your boy C's from the C'slife.com. Welcome to another episode of the Fitpro Development Podcast. This episode, we have Coach Jackie, also go by the moniker Fit Biz Mentor. She's going to share her journey in her 13-year journey, as I've noticed, in fitness, entrepreneurship, and personal development. So, without any further ado, welcome, Jackie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. For those being introduced to you, tell the audience who you are, where do you currently reside, and what it is that you do.
Yeah, my name is Jackie Dragone, as Caesar said, and I'm currently living in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Previously lived in New York City for 11 years, which is a huge part of my story and how I got here. And yeah, so for 13 years, I spent a lot of time working in health and fitness and developing coaches in the studio, in the classroom to be fully embodied as themselves, as a leader in the room. And I moved my business online about 3 years ago. And now I show other health and fitness professionals how to do the exact same thing, move from real life to online. I actually even have some clients that I teach how to build a brand in real life because I've done that too.
Awesome. Did you
Yeah.
do that before the pandemic? Like 3 years ago, did you do it before the pandemic hit?
I started building my brand in person in 2017. I was still working for another company and I like low key was just like renting space, building this brand, building this name for myself. In 2019, 2020, it really took off. There was so much momentum. Like it was really on an upswing. And then I had to move the whole thing online because of the pandemic. And I've chosen now to stay here.
Awesome. So take us back. Tell me a story when you knew you wanted to pursue fitness and coaching as a career.
Yeah, I actually remember the exact moment like it was yesterday. So I was living in New York City because I moved there and I wanted to be a professional dancer. I had danced my whole life. I studied dance in college. It was my life. When I got to New York, I was like, this is cutthroat. This is really hard. It was just like a world I didn't expect. The pressure and it was relentless and I was feeling beat down. But of course, I was like, had to keep my body in shape, wanting to be a professional dancer. So I was sitting in a Pilates class and I had this light bulb moment, like a defining moment where I was like, I could do this. I could teach this and I could enjoy this. And it could also take some of the pressure off of me to feel like I have to go and like make it as a professional dancer when I was feeling so beat down. So like the next day I went and I Googled and I was like, how do I get like a Pilates certification or a fitness certification? And I like signed up and that was the beginning.
Nice. That's awesome. And then you never looked back, you just kept on trucking.
I just kept on trekking. I never looked back. Yeah.
And 13 years later, here you are. I see that you scaled your business to 300K in 28 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, take us through that. Like, what did you know, like, what you were doing, or was that something that you were figuring out as you were going?
Yeah, I figured it out as I went, like I was lucky. So at the start of the pandemic, when I like start thinking about when my business really kicked off, it was probably April 1st, 2020, online, that is, right? And I had built this name for myself already in health and fitness, and I had a lot of following online and in person, and they came with me. So they came with me online. There was a lot of work behind the scenes that happened. I wasn't an instant online success. I had already built something and it was supply and demand at that point, right?
Hmm.
So, but I didn't know what I was doing at all. Like I just opened up Zoom and I figured out how am I going to do this? How am I going to build classes? So I moved my real life schedule online and added more, created memberships, and people were buying them and it was all going really well. So I fast forward a little bit to July and I hired my first business coach to teach me more about the online space. Like it was bare bones, it was set up, it was good to go, but I knew that I could create like other kinds of offers. I knew that there was high ticket, low ticket, like all of these words instantly like were entering my vocabulary. And I was like, okay, I know these things exist, but I don't know really what they are. So let me like hire somebody and learn about them and see how it goes. So that was like my really probably first like deep dive. I was already an entrepreneur by nature, but that was like my first deep dive into online entrepreneurship and actually studying like the ins and outs of all of the lingo that we hear.
That is awesome. So take us back. Like what are some advice that you would give to yourself 10 years ago before like pursuing this career?
Yeah, I would say do it as soon as you want to do it, because I knew that I wanted to run my own business in the health and wellness space for years. But I was, using my zone of genius and my expertise to build other companies in New York City and Philly and DC, even in LA. And I should have just jumped sooner, right? I should have started sooner. Even when I started, I was still holding on to my cushy job. But had I
Hmm.
just gone, and I think I knew deep down that I would be okay, but I was too afraid. Had I just gone, I would have been a little bit further along in my business. Now, everything like happens when it's supposed to and as it's supposed to. But if you're sitting there contemplating right now, I know I could find success on my own, but I'm afraid to leave this studio or this safe environment. I would say just jump over the fear and go for it now, because you have nothing to lose, especially if you're like, whatever your life situation looks like. If you have little responsibility, you're younger, you're not super attached to a lot of things, like go for it now.
Awesome. So for those who are starting out, like still in the studio, looking to like, scale their business, right? Or like have a career like yours, what are some things that they should be doing or looking into right now?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about this. Both of my businesses have been so successful because I build community. It's very heart centered, it's very human centered. I'm really good at getting to know people, making them feel like they belong in the space that I create. So if you're wanting to build your business, you and also you need a brand, right? So those two things, right? You need to know what your brand is, what it stands for, what the message is behind your brand, and then you also need to know like how to get people on board, how to make them feel like they're a part of it, how to reach out and build community, how to lead generate, how to have people and a pipeline of clients that want to come in and buy from your brand. So if you're like still in your job and you want to start this thing, I would start asking yourself, okay, who is the person that I actually want to serve in my first online offer? Who is that? Where am I going to go find those people? How can I best serve those people? And what does that mean for my brand? What is in alignment for me, my brand, and how I'm going to be in service to those people? So I would start asking myself those questions now.
Yeah, that is big. Like you mentioned so much to unpack, like, hiring your first business coach, defining
Mhm.
your brand, building
Mhm.
community, all those things, lead up to it. People often think like, oh, you just get a cool logo, you get a cool name,
Yeah.
and instantly the business comes, right? And it
Yeah.
just like starts with building community,
Mhm.
gaining trust from that community,
Yep.
and then also having like something established. So
Yeah.
definitely consider that for those of you looking to, you know, take that next leap, that next step, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
um, of course, there isn't any like smooth roads on this journey, right? Especially in
Mhm.
entrepreneurship and personal development or self improvement. So,
Mhm.
what are some of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome over the course of your journey?
Yeah, for sure. So my journey in just the last 3 years has been absolutely insane. And by insane, I mean, so we're already in the pandemic, right? And I lost my job like so many other during the pandemic. So I had no choice but to put my foot on the gas full throttle. That's not true. I could have instead chilled and collected unemployment. I didn't want
Hmm.
to do that. So I put my foot full throttle on the gas pedal, like full speed ahead, like let's go, let's build this business, right? So that's a stressor. The global pandemic is a stressor. The political climate around our entire country is a stressor. Like everything is a stressor, right? So then we get to July, and my dad got diagnosed with this crazy kind of cancer, like esophagus, in his esophagus. So
Hmm.
long story short, through the pandemic, he was on a feeding tube. He lost 80 pounds. He had to undergo all of these invasive surgeries that none of us could be present for or anywhere near because you weren't allowed in the hospital. So he was fighting for his life while we're in the middle of a pandemic, while I'm in the beginning stages of building a business.
Hmm.
So that was really a crazy thing to go through. Already the world is in scarcity and fear, and then just like pile it back
Hmm.
on it was literally like Jackie in full on survival mode in every aspect of my life. And, just doing what I had to do to make it all work.
Yeah, that is monumental feat, man. Especially going into something that's unknown, and like often I say this in pretty much every episode. Like entrepreneurship and personal development, you going into a
Mhm.
lot of unknown and uncertainty,
Mhm.
and us humans, we don't like those unknowns and uncertainties,
Mhm.
right? But for something inside all of us just continues to drive us and
Mhm.
move us closer and closer. And who knows,
Mhm. Mhm.
maybe keep taking those little steps, you'll hit those six-figure marks, and you'll like look back and like, hey, if I didn't take this one step, might not have been here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a wild journey, and I'm happy to say that he's good. And so then we fast forward to the beginning of this year, and I was working still for a fitness app, and I was filming for the app in LA. And my husband, he's only 41 at the time, young man. Like for what happened, he's okay now too. But then another roadblock, he has a stroke out of nowhere, out of the blue. He has
Hmm.
made a full recovery, but it has been like the crazy, like things that you never think are going to happen, or that you like see maybe they'll happen one day or they happen to other people. Like anything really that could have stood in my way did. And I'm not saying that because like, look at me, but it's like, you know what? Life is going to happen. And when you want to start a business, you need to make a choice. You're either in or you're out. You're in or
Yeah.
you're out. When you have an employer, you're not like it's you're not going to work and saying, I don't emotionally feel like it today, so I'm not going to. It's sometimes yes, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes yes, but I see so many entrepreneurs get caught up in themselves being the business, and you are to a point, but also you've made a choice and you have a business to run. So you're going to have to figure out how to live with your emotions and deal with your emotions and not ignore your emotions and also still run your business.
Yeah.
There has to be that sort of duality that goes on at the same time to find success, because life is going to
Yeah.
happen around you.
And I often, like, when I was working in my office job, and I used to have that sense of entitlement, like, what do you mean I have to come into work? Like, this happened to me, this happened to me. But
Mhm.
when I'm on my entrepreneurship journey, I
Mhm.
realize that your bosses or your employers are human just like you. And if they don't show up, like, they don't get a check and you don't get a check, right?
Mhm.
Like, you think like, oh, I show up to work, I get a check, but those employers are
Mhm.
leaders, and every action that they take are basically directly correlated to whether you get paid or not. So their stress is like mountains because
Mhm.
they have several mouths and families to feed, right? But you
Mhm.
only know this when you actually start running your own business.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, like my bosses really had to go through this, like making payroll and all of that. Like
Mhm.
it's a
Mhm.
lot more challenging than your perceptions out there on social media, making it look like, oh, I get to just work with my laptop on the beach. I was like,
Yeah, exactly.
no, you own this, and you got to basically show up every day and have a
You do.
commitment to serve, man.
You
um
do.
with that, right,
Mhm.
like, what have been your biggest wins? Like, you know it's no small feat what you've accomplished, so I'm sure like you had some pretty big wins.
Yeah, I mean, the big wins are like it's working. I get to work for myself. It's amazing. I mean, it is work. Like Caesar's saying, don't let people fool you. There's there is work that goes into it. You don't just manifest it all magically. It can be a part of your
Hmm.
journey, but there are actions and a lot of them that go into it. So just the fact that I it's working is amazing to me, and like a big win is I have two businesses now. Right? I'm running a fitness business. I'm running an online business to help other fitness professionals do what I did. I've passed $300,000 in revenue. This year alone, I did 100K already, passed 100K already. So it's like the win is that when you show up consistently and when you learn and when you're constantly investing to yourself and into your business and into mentorship and into learning more and into your own personal development, it starts to get a little bit easier, a little bit easier, a little bit easier, a little bit easier as you go. And you start to have more clarity as you go. But in the beginning, there's a lot of like, I don't know, am I making the right? Like you kind of have to fumble a little bit and expect that.
Yeah.
Expect to fumble a little bit. And then as you start, like now I'm between you're 2 and 3, getting close to 3. It's like, okay, I'm starting to figure this out.
That is dope. That is like, for like, there are people who like go with all the intentions. They have the right mindset, but then they don't stick it out long enough to see,
Mhm.
that win, the finish
Mhm.
line. They probably, using a marathon analogy, they probably get
Yeah.
midway and they're just like, let me just sit back there. Let me just, all
Mhm.
right, I did it. I can say that I got my feet wet, but it
Mhm.
takes a lot to just get past through certain thresholds, especially
Mhm.
like the uncertainty, the fear,
Mhm.
and all that. But
Mhm.
for those who are looking to get in contact with you, looking to scale their business
Mhm.
or need coaching or mentorship, how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, the best way is to find me on Instagram. If you go to at FitBiz mentor, I'm always on that page. I have a page for Jackie Dragone too, but that's way more fitness based. So the FitBiz mentor is like honestly the best spot. Like if you shoot me a DM there, I will find it and I will chat with you, and I will be more than happy to help you.
Awesome. I'll be sure to link all of her contacts down in the show notes. So what's next? What's the next level for you?
Yeah, the next level for me, I can't like verbalize it yet, but there's a feeling of stepping into it, if you know what I mean, right?
Hmm.
I can feel like a certain amount of discomfort and also like thinking differently, which is a sign you start to learn, right? You start
Yep.
to learn. There's a sign that there is a next level coming. And I think it's probably more ownership over business coaching, business mentorship, mentoring young businesses and bringing them up. Just as I have this nurturing feeling in me lately, like I just want to nurture the people and bring them up and show them how. And I want them to feel what it feels like to do it for yourself, especially if you want to and you've been wanting to. Like you can do it. There are specific strategies, there are things that you can do. It is in your control. It's just a matter of you showing up and doing it. So that's like really where I'm feeling like it, leaning more into speaking more, into mentorship more, into just kind of being like the go-to mama person for business, younger business owners or business owners in general that are like, my business is like making a couple grand and I really want it to be my full support. So what do I do?
Awesome.
Mhm.
Great. Well, thank you so much for giving us all that to unpack. That journey right there is it's like what's the word I'm looking for? It's actually like telling that basically anyone with the right mindset can actually go through, especially with all the challenges that you had to face and
Mhm.
overcome, like going from like your comfort zone, leaning into actually just betting on yourself, right? It's
Yep.
like so much. And I can see it with the young fitness pros, not even the young ones, but the ones who make career changes. They have
Mhm.
that sort of look in their face midway, like, oh no, what did I do? What did
Mhm.
I do? Like I quit my job, like
Yeah.
help. And we don't often have platforms like these that, offer the stories of other people that walk the same
Mhm.
path, right? So
Mhm.
this is like a great opportunity to find people like you, have conversations, join their mentor programs, reach out, slide in the DMs,
Mhm.
and just like ask for help. Because at the end of the day, us fitness pros, we're open books. We love to talk, we love to share our
Mhm.
stories, but
Mhm.
one of the steps is actually reaching out to your fitness pro wherever they are, right? And
Mhm.
there are people like you all over. So again, guys, reach out to Jackie. She's been there, she's done it. So if you need any advice, down in the comment, I'm down in the description. Any
Amazing.
any closing words or things that you want them to take away before we go?
Yeah, I want you to just I want you to go for it. I want you to know that you're going to have to take action, and it's always going to be scary, and that's normal. If you feel scared, you're probably doing the right thing. You're going in the right direction. So that's normal. Get over that fast. It's going to keep coming up at every level. And then I also want to say that the internet puts a lot of stuff in front of you that can be confusing, and it makes it sound like there's a secret code or there's like a secret sauce to running a business. And like, yes and no, but it's not a secret. There's just a couple things that it needs, and it needs them on repeat. And like, that's what I help people with. So like, I'll just say them real quick. Like, you need awareness, you need clarity, you need lead gen, you need offers, you need to know how to sell them, and you need to know how to build community. And if you can do that, you can run a business. So it's like, don't be confused by like the glitz and glam. Just get the strategy, get clarity, and work it, and it can happen.
Beautifully said. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, all of her contacts will be down in the description. If you are a fitness professional looking to get your story out there, feel free to reach out to me down in the comments or in my DMs at The C's Life on IG, Twitter, all your social media platforms. But till then, till the next time, peace out.